The crisp violet cash rolled like cigars and pressed to her palm, her armoire brimming with bright slippers sewn of glazed leather. But now, La Goulou is old and fat. To make a go of it, she has sold her plates, her knives and bracelets, her red petticoats, and the bloomers slit so that when one kicks off a hat, one shot may size up the clientele. She has bought a weary tribe of misused animals as long in tooth as is she, and their cages, and a gypsy wagon, its planking in need of paint, and where we now sit. The animals, 1 bear, 4 lions, a black panther, and a hyena, she keeps in her yard, just outside the old walls of Paris. At night, she can hear the heart of Paris beating without her. She knows that those who loved her are themselves retired or in the last throes of an affair with a girl whose eye-catching beauty can do nothing to stop the pocket watch set out upon the bedside table, mocking the moments as they pass. And she recalls how when she ordered duck at the Maison Dorée, the carver, and he was dressed like a bridegroom, would debone it for her and serve the flesh in 60 perfect slices arranged like a fan. On a plate of fine faience, she tells me, painted with the green figures of Chinamen and other curious things. The duck's fresh blood in a pewter pitcher to keep it from clotting and stirred into the sauce, cherries on fire tumbling after. The animal's food she makes with stale bread, she haggles for, using what remains of her charm. The beasts, she reminds the bakers, the restaurant cooks, the neighbors, are like us. They must eat. She does not give them bones to gum for fear of rousing old appetites. Her beast's nostalgia for better days is as great as her own. Every day when she returns to her little scruffy yard and its cages, its piles of straw, one clean, one very dirty, her sack rattles with stale baguette. Her lions have all lost their teeth, as has the poor bear who, like his mistress, can no longer stir a crowd. But the panther, now that's another story. On tour in the early spring, the panther had torn off a child's arm. The boy leaning far too close to the cage, wanting to pet the kitty. La Goulou wiggles her bare fingers in my face. She has sold the last of her rings to pay the surgeon's fees. It is fortunate, she tells me, the child is not a girl. Ladies love to soothe a man who has suffered such misadventures, whereas ces messieurs will settle for nothing less than perfect beauty. I nod and accept the cup of verbena she offers along with a slice of toast, thickly frosted with her own quince jam. The cat's meat man, she sighs, comes for the panther tomorrow. If on a winter's morning you elect to spend time with La Goulou, she makes you feel at home. I, for one, have always been susceptible to the nostalgia of others. Her hospitality, her vivacity, her full bosom bring to mind the great aunt or grandmother one adored, whose infrequent visits were enlivened by indiscretions and gifts of tinned sweets. To tell the truth, the afternoon I spent with her, those brief, sweet moments, have left an odd impression, for looking back, I see myself as a boy of 10 or so, and this not just because of her tales and her toast, but the fact that she presses stereo views upon me, views of herself strolling the gardens of Versailles in a dress of the palest lavender, and again in that same dress standing among the fountains of St. Petersburg. And there is another hand-tinted view of the dancer in her prime, slender in camisole and drawers, straddling one of the bronze lions that guard the Spanish throne. You see how I was fated for lions from the start, she laughs, and she squeezes my wrist as though I were a favorite nephew. And she tells me how the waiter at La Maison Dorée bones her duck in a trice, how the dwarf Lautrec entertains her and her friends with an erotic patter so hilarious it is all she can do to keep herself from pissing on her velvet chair. For you see, she continues, In those brief years, appetite ruled our lives. My chat kept Paris hot and lively, whereas now even my lions are geriatric. The hyena, too irritable to roll over and offer her belly for a scratch. The panther doomed. My yard, she smiles sadly, reeks of feral creatures in idleness. And she yawns. She is wanting her nap. As we walk towards the front gate, she pulls her stiff underwear piece by piece from the line and says philosophically, "Don't worry about me, monsieur. You see, it's only natural for meteors to fall from the sky." When I leave La Goulou, and it is late in the day, the first winter thunderstorm strikes just as I reach the street. The rainy season is fairly set in Paris, and thunder, lightning, and heavy storms are common both day and night. When, after midnight, the clouds disperse, the stars peer down through the spare foliage of the pollarded trees, and one may see the ardent face of the moon as volatile as smoke. I had another encounter. It's going to be hard to read, but I should read it. An encounter with a doorman in Seattle. Let's see. That one. Doorman in Seattle or The Secret Life of a Little Girl in Vienna? Which shall we do? Seriously, what are you in the mood for? Vienna, Seattle, huh? Okay, you've got it. See, one pays attention to the fearless. Okay. Maybe there's time for both, but I don't think so. It's called The Doorman's Swellage. I'm sure it's all here. Good day, sir. Looking out upon the street, I could not help but notice your interest in the Perlmutter building. The noon is hot above, and the air a plague of flies. Seeing you so well turned out, I take the liberty, one of the real pleasures of my profession, to call out to you. Please step in. Note that I do not open the Perlmutter's portals for all and someday. Well then, allow me to introduce you to the Perlmutter. Note the generous use of morganite in the lobby and the luminous lamp dish overhead. She is the only building of her type and class in the city, and she has just been revived and refit. But if you hope to move in, I regret to say there is nothing on hand, although a current occupant, the wondrous Mrs. Gastroform, is very, very old. Should the Perlmutter quicken your interest, I would be pleased to appease you of her departure and give you a tinkle, care for a mint, although the waiting list is long. However, between us, sir, I'll do my part to put you right on top. Make no bones about it, sir. My pleasure, sir. I know a gentleman when I see one. No small thing these days, when all on Sunday are out and about in their birthday suits engaging in who knows what low type of nonfeasance. Oh, tempura, oh, s'mores. Please, let me relieve you of your muffler and your hat, no? As you wish, sir. Aha! A rotogravure has caught your eye. It is, you've guessed it, the Perlmutter in her heyday, taken by Rutherford Nubbin in 1892. All the rotogravures in the lobby are Nubbinses. Look at them and see the Perlmutter inside and out, everything, and her kitchen sinks, all 66 of them. Now then, sir, follow me. Here in the hallway, more Rutherford Nubbinses. This series is of the Humtolic suite named for Perlmutter's mother, who lived here until she died of an overlapsed pessary. She was said to hide out in the funk hole on Less Than Happy Days. This rotogravure shows the rookery, no longer extant, with its 44 roods and perches. This is the mew. Don't ask me what Perlmutter kept there. He kept dames in droves, but not at the same time. Here's your parlor and here's your pokery. The ambuscade and chummery are long since gone. The brass head is old camel dung, Perlmutter's mother. In this house, the weaker sex was not always honorably regarded. After you, sir. This room's called the mummery. Notice how each object, rotogravure, paperweight, milfall, and statuette, possess the magic power to awaken dormant sensations. They stimulate curiosity and so conversation. Before you responded to my invitation, the Perlmutter was asleep, her splendors